Your dog does this every single day, and chances are you've been reading it completely wrong. Right now, in this very moment, your dog is sending you signals. Urgent ones, affectionate ones, even worried ones. They're using their body, their eyes, their paws, their nose, even the way they breathe when you enter a room. The problem isn't that they aren't communicating. The problem is that no one ever showed us how to listen. That changes today. We're going to walk through 12 of the most common behaviors your dog shows and what they truly mean every single time. Some of these will catch you off guard. A few might completely change how you interpret moments you've shared with your dog for years without ever fully understanding them. And the last one on this list, if you stay until the end, that's the one people always remember. Stay with me. Dogs may not speak our language, but here's something most people never realize. They never stop trying. You've seen this countless times. You're sitting on the couch or standing in the kitchen, and your dog walks up, looks directly at you, and does a long, exaggerated stretch. Front legs extended, chest low, hips raised. Most people think, oh, they're just waking up. But that stretch, it's a complete message. That exact position, chest down, rear up, is known as a play bow. It's one of the clearest and most studied communication signals in dog behavior. Dogs use it with each other and with humans in exactly the same way. And it means one simple thing. Let's play. Right now, you and me. Your dog is making you an offer, using one of the clearest signals they have. But that's not the only type of stretch. If your dog stretches slowly near you, with relaxed muscles and a soft expression, that's something entirely different. That's your dog signaling safety. Dogs only fully release tension when they feel secure. A calm, full-body stretch near you means your dog feels completely at ease in your presence. Not just comfortable, safe. They're saying, this is where I can fully relax. There's also a third version. When you come home, some dogs don't just wag their tail. They stretch their entire body in greeting, almost like they're expanding with excitement. Think of it as the dog version of throwing your arms wide open. They can't say, I missed you, so they show it with their whole body. Watch when the stretch happens and how your dog looks while doing it. The meaning changes, but the intention is always the same. Your dog is communicating with you. You feel it before you see it. That quiet sensation of being watched. You turn around, and there they are. Your dog, just looking at you. No barking, no movement, just a steady gaze. It can feel intense. But here's what's really happening. A well-known study found that when dogs and humans look into each other's eyes, both experience a rise in oxytocin, the same bonding hormone involved between a parent and child. Your dog isn't just looking at you. They're bonding with you. Every time they hold that gaze, your connection deepens on a biological level. That soft, relaxed stare means, I love you. I feel good around you. I could stay like this forever. But there's another kind of stare, and it feels completely different. This one happens before meals, before walks, or when you're holding something they want. The gaze becomes focused, alert, intentional, moving between you and the object. This is a request. Dogs use this on purpose because it works. But here's the key. If you respond instantly every single time, the behavior becomes stronger and can turn into demanding behavior over time. The best approach is to respond on your terms. That way your dog understands communication works, but you're still in control. The difference between these two stares is subtle but clear. Soft eyes, relaxed face, that's affection. Focused gaze, tension, shifting attention, that's a request. Once you learn this, you'll never misread your dog's eyes again. One more important detail most people miss. Your dog doesn't just look at you in these moments. They're actively reading your response. Every small change in your face matters. A slight lean forward, a shift in your posture, the way your hand moves before you react. They notice all of it, because to your dog, your reaction is part of the communication itself. It's not just about what they are asking for, it's about what happens after they ask. And over time, they learn patterns. What works faster? What gets attention? What gets ignored? So when you start becoming aware of this, something changes. You're no longer just watching your dog. You're actually entering a conversation with them. One that's been happening the entire time, whether you noticed it or not. And that's when understanding really begins. 3. Leading you somewhere. Your dog starts pacing, looks at you, walks a few steps, stops, looks back again. Maybe they whine. Maybe they gently nudge you with their nose. They clearly want you to follow. And here's what most people don't realize. They already know exactly where they're going. This behavior is called leading, and it's one of the most intentional forms of communication dogs use. Because think about what this actually requires. Your dog isn't guessing. They're navigating. They have a mental map of your space, your home, your routines, the places that matter most. Food, water, leash, door, familiar corners of the environment. And when something changes in that system, they don't just react randomly. They guide you. If they lead you to their bowl, it's empty. If they lead you to the door, they need to go out. If they lead you to a specific spot, something caught their attention, they're not just moving you around. They're showing you a problem they can't solve alone. And they expect you to understand it. Because in their mind, you're part of the solution. And what's important here is persistence. If you don't follow immediately, they don't just give up. They try again. They repeat the behavior. They add intensity. They adjust the signal until something works. Because communication in their world is flexible. It evolves until it's understood. And at the core of it all, there's trust. They're not being difficult. They're not being demanding. They're relying on you. They're saying, I need help, and I believe you're the one who can give it. So when your dog tries to lead you somewhere, don't dismiss it. Follow. There's always a reason. 4. Bringing you a toy. Your dog walks up to you with something in their mouth. A ball, a toy, sometimes even a random object from around the house. They drop it in front of you, and then they look at you. That moment feels simple, but it's not. Most people immediately assume they want to play, and often that's true. It's a direct invitation. Your dog is choosing you out of everything else they could be doing. They're saying, this is what I want, and I want to share it with you. But context changes everything. If your dog brings you something when you're happy and engaged, it's usually excitement and play. If they bring it when you're quiet, stressed, or emotionally low, it can become something very different. That's comfort. They're not trying to start an activity. They're trying to connect with your emotional state. They're offering something valuable to them, not because it solves anything, but because it creates closeness. And there's another version most people overlook. When you come home, some dogs immediately grab an object and bring it to you. Not because you asked for it, but because the emotion is too big. Excitement, relief, stimulation, all at once. And carrying something helps them manage it. It gives them an outlet. Same behavior, different emotional meaning. And here's the key point. Your dog never brings you something randomly. There's always, and one more subtle detail. When your dog brings you something, they're also watching your reaction extremely closely. Not just whether you take it, but how you respond. Your tone, your energy, your attention. Because that response tells them everything. Whether to repeat the behavior, whether to increase it, or whether to try something different next time. In a way, the toy is not the end of the message. It's the beginning of a loop between you and your dog. A loop that teaches them how to communicate with you more effectively every single day. 5. Placing a paw on you. Your dog walks over and gently places a paw on your foot, your hand, or your leg. Sometimes it's light, barely there. Sometimes they press down and hold it. And sometimes they alternate, lift, place, adjust, like they're making sure you don't miss it. Most people read this as simple attention seeking, but it's more precise than that. This is a form of contact communication. Not loud, not demanding, but deliberate. It means, I'm here. Stay with me. It's a grounding signal, a way of maintaining connection without needing movement, noise, or escalation. And the meaning changes depending on context. If your dog places a paw while you're petting them, it could be a request to continue. Don't stop. If they place a paw while sitting quietly next to you, it's not a request at all. It's maintenance of closeness. A reminder, we are still together. And when both paws come up, especially paired with direct eye contact, the intensity increases. That becomes urgency. Something is needed. Something matters right now. But there's also a deeper layer. Some dogs place a paw on their owner during emotional moments. When you're stressed, quiet, upset, they're not trained to do this. They're responding to tone, to posture, to energy. It's their way of stabilizing the connection, saying, I feel you. I'm here. No words, just presence. 6. The sigh. Your dog lies down near you. The room is calm. Nothing is happening. And then a long, slow exhale. A sigh. Most people ignore it completely. But this is one of the clearest emotional release signals dogs have. Because this isn't just fatigue, it's regulation. It's the nervous system shifting from alertness into safety, the body letting go. And when it happens near you, it carries meaning. It means, I can relax here. Not just physically, emotionally. There's no need to stay alert anymore. There's also a second version, a shorter, flatter sigh, often paired with a look toward you or toward something they want. That one is different. That's frustration. Not aggressive, not loud, just unresolved, waiting too long, being ignored, anticipation without outcome. And the difference is always visible in the body. A relaxed sigh softens everything: eyes, posture, muscles. A frustrated sigh keeps tension inside the frame. Same behavior, different emotional state. And once you learn to hear it, you don't just hear sound anymore. And what's important is what happens after the sigh. Often, your dog will shift slightly closer to you, or adjust their position so they're still in contact, even while resting. It's subtle, but meaningful, because relaxation for dogs is not just internal, it's relational. They regulate through proximity, through presence. And in that quiet moment, nothing is being asked from you. No command, no request, just shared calm. And that is often the deepest form of communication they offer. 7. The nose nudge. Your dog presses their nose into your hand, your arm, sometimes your leg. Once, twice, sometimes repeatedly. It feels simple, almost automatic, but it isn't. This is one of the most layered micro-signals dogs use. A soft nudge, light, relaxed, slow, is a check-in. It means, I'm here. Are you here with me? No demand, no urgency, just presence. But when the pressure increases, the meaning shifts. A firmer nudge becomes a request. Look at me. Notice me. Something is needed. And when it repeats again and again, it escalates. Because the first signal didn't land. So the dog adapts. They increase intensity. They refine timing. They try to break through whatever is interrupting the response. But there's another layer happening at the same time. Information gathering. When your dog nudges you, they're also reading you. Your scent, your movement, your emotional state. They're collecting information while communicating at the same time. It's not one action. It's two systems working together. And once you start noticing timing and repetition, you realize it's never random. 8. Leaning into you. Your dog walks up and presses their body against your leg. Not sitting, not lying down, just leaning. Full weight, full contact. Most people instinctively shift or start petting. But what's really happening is deeper than comfort. To lean into something fully, a dog has to trust stability. They are giving up balance control. That only happens when they feel safe. So this is not neediness. It's trust, a physical statement. You are my anchor. If it happens during stress, loud noises, storms, unfamiliar environments, it's grounding. They're using you as stability. But if it happens in calm moments, it's even more meaningful. Because then it's not necessity, it's choice. They don't have to lean. They want to. And that difference matters. Because it means your presence isn't just helpful. It's preferred. And that's the core of it. And there's something else people often miss about leaning. It rarely happens randomly. It usually comes after a moment of emotional shift. A sound, a change in energy, your movement, something in the environment. The dog reads that change first, and then decides to move closer. So leaning is often a response, not a habit, a decision made in real time. And if you stay still in that moment, something interesting happens. The lean deepens. They settle more weight. They relax further into contact. Because they're testing one thing. Are you stable? And when you remain calm, the answer becomes clear to them. Yes. And in that confirmation, their nervous system follows yours down. Into calm. That's why these moments feel so quiet, so grounded. It's not just physical contact. It's emotional regulation shared between two bodies. No commands, no training, just understanding happening in silence. 9. The head tilt. You say something to your dog, a word, a tone, a phrase they recognize, and their head tilts to the side. That small, familiar movement feels cute. But it's not just emotional expression. It's active processing. Your dog is trying to understand what they just heard. By adjusting their head position, they change how sound reaches each ear. That helps them locate direction, tone, and subtle differences in your voice. They're literally improving the signal, trying to decode meaning more accurately. And there's another layer, vision. A dog's muzzle can partially block their field of view. So when they tilt their head, they also improve visual access to your face. Eyes, mouth, micro-expressions. They're not just listening, they're reading you at the same time. And this is why it often happens more with familiar words or emotionally relevant tones. It's not random, it's engagement, a moment of cognitive effort directed entirely at you. Like they're saying, I'm trying to understand. Keep going. 10. Following you everywhere. You stand up, they stand up. You move, they move. Room to room, step by step, always there. And for many people, it feels like they never get space. But this behavior isn't about lack of independence. It's about attachment. Dogs are naturally wired to stay close to their social anchor. And for most domestic dogs, that anchor is you. Your presence isn't just comfort, it's regulation. Your movement signals possibility. Something might happen, food, walks, interaction, routine. So staying close keeps them ready. But there's something deeper underneath all of that. You are their reference point for safety. Not the house, not the environment, you. And when you move, their sense of stability moves with you. So following you isn't clingy behavior. It's emotional alignment, a living connection that stays in motion. And once you understand that, it stops feeling like following and starts feeling like trust that walks with you. And what makes this even more important is how consistent it is. Dogs don't just follow you during good moments. They follow you when you're tired, when you're distracted, when you're emotionally off, because their attachment system doesn't evaluate your day the way humans do. It tracks proximity. Closeness equals safety. Distance equals uncertainty. So staying near you is their way of maintaining internal stability. And over time, this becomes a rhythm between you. You move, they respond. You stop, they settle. You shift energy, they adjust. It's a continuous feedback loop, and most owners don't realize they're part of it. But your dog is constantly reading your micro signals, your posture before you stand, your direction before you turn, your speed before you walk. They anticipate you, not because they're trained, but because they're tuned in. And that tuning creates something subtle but powerful. Synchronization. You start to notice it when you slow down. They slow down. When you relax, they relax. When you become still, they often become still too. It's not imitation, it's emotional mirroring. And that's why following behavior can feel so intense sometimes. Because it's not just physical presence, it's shared state. And once you see it like that, it changes the meaning completely. They're not behind you, they're with you, in real time, every step. And if you ever test this by changing direction suddenly, you'll notice something interesting. They adjust immediately, not after delay, not after confusion, but instantly, because they are already tracking you, not reacting to you. That level of attention creates a kind of silent coordination between you both, a shared awareness of movement. And in that space, following stops being a behavior you notice and becomes something you feel, like you're not moving alone anymore. 11. Rolling onto their back. Your dog suddenly drops to the ground and rolls over, belly exposed, legs up, completely open. It looks playful. Sometimes it is. But underneath that movement is something much deeper. Because the belly is the most vulnerable area of a dog's body. In survival terms, it's protected at all costs. So exposing it is never accidental. It's a decision. And when it happens in front of you, it carries meaning. It means, I trust you completely. Not partially, not conditionally, completely. There is no defensive tension in that moment. No readiness to protect. Just surrender to safety. And that's why it doesn't happen with everyone. Dogs are selective with this behavior. They read the environment, the energy, the person, and only expose themselves when a signal of safety is strong enough. So when your dog does this with you, it's not just a request for belly rubs. It's a declaration of trust, a full body statement. I am safe here with you. And what matters most is how you respond. If you stay calm, gentle, consistent, that trust stabilizes. It becomes part of your bond. 12. Licking you. Your dog licks your hand, your arm, sometimes your face, repeatedly. And most people see it as simple affection, but it's more layered than that. Licking is one of the earliest bonding behaviors in a dog's life. It starts from puppyhood, comfort, connection, care. So when your dog licks you, they are activating that same social memory. It means you are part of my safe group, my family, my known world. There is familiarity in it and comfort, but there's also information exchange happening at the same time. Through licking, dogs gather subtle chemical cues. Where you've been, what you've touched, even changes in your emotional state. It's connection and data at once. And in some cases, licking can also increase when a dog feels slightly overwhelmed. Not as affection, but as self-regulation, a way to calm internal tension through repetitive behavior. So the context matters. Soft, calm licking bonding, repetitive, intense licking regulation. And once you understand the difference, you stop seeing it as just a habit and start seeing it as community. And there's something else people almost never notice. Licking often happens in quiet moments. Not when things are exciting, but when everything slows down. That timing matters because it shows you the emotional state behind the behavior. In calm moments, licking becomes a soft form of reassurance, a way of maintaining closeness without needing movement or sound. Just contact, just connection. And in those moments, your dog is not trying to get anything from you. They're simply reinforcing the bond, staying close in the simplest way they know how. But if you pay attention closely, you'll also notice how your response shapes it. If you stay relaxed, they slow down. If you pull away or react strongly, they often intensify or repeat the behavior. Because like many of these signals, licking is part of a feedback loop, a conversation happening in real time. And the more aware you become of it, the more subtle it gets, until eventually you start noticing not just what your dog is doing, but why they're doing it. And that's where real understanding begins. Final, here's what all of this really means. Your dog has been communicating with you every single day in ways you probably saw but didn't fully understand. They stretch to say, I feel safe, I'm excited, or I want connection. They look at you because your presence feels grounding. They lead you because they trust you to solve what they can't. They bring you things because they want to share their world with you. They place a paw because they want to stay connected. They sigh because their body finally feels safe enough to let go. They nudge you because they're checking in. They lean into you because you are stability. They tilt their head because they're trying to understand you. They follow you because you are their reference point for safety. They show their belly because they trust you completely. And they lick you because, to them, you are family. None of this is random, and none of it requires special training to understand. Only attention, because the truth is, your dog has always been speaking to you. Every single day. The only difference now is that you can finally see it. So next time your dog does any of these things, pause for a second. Don't rush past it. Notice it, because in that small moment of awareness, your dog realizes something too, that you understood. And for them, that changes everything. That's not behavior anymore. That's connection. And now you can hear it. And once you start seeing your dog this way, something subtle changes in your relationship. You stop reacting automatically and start responding intentionally. You begin to notice patterns you never paid attention to before. The timing of their signals, the way their behavior shifts depending on your mood, the small differences between calm communication and emotional urgency. And over time, it stops feeling like training or pet behavior. It starts feeling like a dialogue. Quiet, constant, living. Because your dog isn't waiting for perfect understanding. They're already communicating in the only way they know how. Through presence, through movement, through emotion. And the more you slow down and observe, the more clearly it becomes readable. Not louder, just clearer. And in that clarity, something very simple happens. The gap between you and your dog gets smaller. Not because they changed, but because you finally started noticing what was already there. If you take anything from this entire video, take this. Your dog is not trying to confuse you. They're trying to connect with you. Every single behavior you saw in this video, the stretch, the stare, the leading, the toy, the paw, the sigh, the nudge, the lean, the tilt, the following, the belly exposure, the licking, none of it was random. None of it was just habit. And none of it was meaningless. It was communication. Constant communication. Happening every day, right in front of you. And the reason most people miss it is simple. We were never taught to slow down enough to see it. We live fast. We react fast. We interpret everything through human logic instead of emotional signals. But your dog doesn't speak in logic. They speak in patterns, in repetition, in timing, in energy. And once you understand that, you stop seeing behaviors and you start seeing messages. Because here's what changes when you start noticing. You stop reacting automatically and you start responding intentionally. That moment, the pause between behavior and reaction, is where everything shifts. Because now you're not guessing anymore. You're reading, you're observing, you're understanding. And over time, something very subtle starts happening. You begin to recognize patterns you completely missed before. Not just what your dog does, but when they do it and why. You start noticing the difference between calm communication and emotional urgency, between affection and regulation, between play and request. And once you see that difference clearly, you can't unsee it. And maybe the most important part is this. Your dog is already adjusting to you every single day. They watch your tone, your posture, your movement, your energy before you even speak. They're constantly reading you, not because they're trained to, but because connection requires it. For them, understanding you is survival, safety, stability, belonging. So when you slow down enough to understand them back, you're not teaching them something new. You're completing a loop that already exists. And something very interesting happens in that space. The relationship stops being one-directional. It stops being owner and pet and becomes something more balanced, something quieter, more responsive, more aware. A conversation that doesn't need words. Just attention, just presence, just recognition. Because your dog was never waiting for perfection from you. They were never asking you to interpret everything perfectly. They were asking for something much simpler. To be noticed, to be acknowledged, to be understood, even just a little more than before. And that alone changes everything for them. So the next time your dog does any of these things, don't rush past it. Don't immediately label it. Don't ignore it. Just pause for a second. Look at them. Really look and ask yourself, what are they saying right now? Not with words, but with behavior, with emotion, with presence. Because in that moment, when you finally slow down enough to see it, your dog feels it too. They notice that shift, that awareness, that attention. And for them, that's everything. Not commands, not training, not correction, just connection. And here's the final truth. Your dog has always been speaking to you. Every day, every interaction, every small gesture you brushed off. They were speaking. You just didn't have a translation yet. Until now. So if this helped you see your dog differently, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who loves their dog. Because most dogs are still being misunderstood. Not because people don't care, but because no one ever showed them how to listen. And now you know, you're not guessing anymore. You're listening. And your dog will feel that immediately.